All right, so um, we are now on live on YouTube, and welcome to the June HPC user training. So last month we talked about just general resources for remote work, things like the on-demand portal and Globus for transferring your files back and forth. This month, we wanted to touch a little bit on managing your environment. We've talked about Anaconda a few times in the past, but given that everybody's probably using a lot more virtual environments now than you were in the past, we wanted to touch on that again. But before we get there, we also wanted to touch on some cool things that I didn't realize. Robbie brought it up fairly recently about how you can use modules in a way that is repeatable, so you don't have to keep on remembering the list of 10 modules that you like to use. Or alternatively, what happens a lot of times that I've seen is folks will put a bunch of module loads in their profile, like in their .bash rc, their file that initiates their environment when they start up, and then that can cause them troubles down the line. But what Robbie's going to show us about setting up a list of modules as one contained thing will basically enable you to do that same thing, but you can switch out which set of module configurations you want to use. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Robbie, do you want to share your screen, or do you want to talk me through setting up the modules? Which way do you want to do it?
I can share my screen.
Okay, let me give you the right to share your screen. Oh, okay, here we go. I'm going to make you the co-host, Robbie. All right, so you should be able to share your screen now.
All right, so I'm hoping everyone is familiar with our on-demand interface now. If you're not, if you just go to rc.uab.edu, it should bring you to this dashboard page. If you don't have an account on Chiha currently, which I'm hoping all of you have an account right now, but if you don't, you are going to see a message over here that you don't have an account, and you'll have a link somewhere over here where it's going to be like, go and request an account, and it will open up an email page where you can fill out some of the fields like name, laser ID, and everything, and just send it to us, and we'll create an account for you. Once you receive the automated email from us that your account has been created, you can come back to rc.uab.edu and Siri is listening to everything. So once your account has been created and you come back to rc.uab.edu, it should bring you to this dashboard page. And we are just going to start up a shell access right now, just a command line interface, because that's where I'll show you the new module commands that we recently discovered. All right, so a lot of you might be actually loading the modules like William mentioned in your bash rc file, and over the course of our office hours and just in this form of the support tickets that we generally get, we have found out that if you have a lot of modules in your bash rc file, it's, first of all, the positive part that it's very convenient that every time you open up your shell, you already have all those modules in your environment. So you don't have to keep on repeating like module load GCC, module load AFNI, module load FreeSurfer, and yada, yada, yada. But what happens with some of these modules is modules include a lot of libraries and everything that might interfere in working of some of our interactive apps. Like if you are planning on opening up an HPC desktop and you have some modules which have libraries that might interfere with opening up the HPC desktop, you're going to start seeing some weird errors like either it's not opening up, the HPC desktop is not opening up, or uh, it just starts showing random errors to you. And then generally we have found that once you comment those out and restart your HPC desktop, it works. So we wanted to find out a good intermediary method where it's still not become burdensome to people to load all these modules, which make their experience on Chiha nice, and we don't want the users to have to load all these modules separately. So for in those instances, what you can do is, let me just start up a job, interactive job.
I'm glad you're starting up the jobs. I'm running like several long partition jobs that require like full nodes, so I have no available resources I can ask for right now.
Oh, okay. So it's good that I shared. All right, let's take a look at my profile right now. So if I do a module list, so these are the ones that are already there in my environment. But let's say I'm working on a project and I need, yeah, we'll go with that. And module load free server and maybe fn. All right, so there is some error because of the Intel 2016A and Intel 2017A, but that's not basically the point of what I'm trying to show you. It's basically like, now if I took a look at my my environment, all the modules that are available in my environment, they are a lot. So I have two options. Either if I'm working constantly on a project, I can, every time I come on Chiha, I can keep doing this, like module load FSL, module load presurfer, module load FNI, and you might have much more modules in your environment, MATLAB and some RStudio or R in your environment. One other method is I can keep all of this in my bash RC file, but I don't know what issues that's going to create in the future. Or what I can do is I can do a module save and I don't know, test neuro, or actually neuro modules might be a better name. All right, so a collection of these modules have been saved in as neuro modules. So now next time I come back to Chiha, once I have done my work and I go home, I open up again Chiha because I had to do some work, and I come back to this environment. Where I don't have anything. But what I can just do is module restore, and I gave it neuro modules. And now if I do module list again, you'll see that I have all the modules that I initially had before the reset. And now I can just start working, and it just turns all the modules that I was loading into just a single command and the collection that I had formed. And basically, when you are collaborating with a lot of people, I know there are several ways of sharing your environment. One is very simple, where you are sharing your job scripts or just general scripts where you have all these commands already, like module load, all the different modules that you're going to be loading for that particular job script. One other method could be, generally once you save this collection, it gets stored over here in Lmod.d and neuro modules. And if you take a look at this, it's basically a JSON file with with all the modules that should be loaded in this with this collection. So what you can do is, if you're using Git, or even if you're not using Git, what you can do is you can share this file with your uh, with the person with whom you are collaborating, and then they should also have this collection called neuromodules for their environment, where they can also just do module restore neuromodules. And that might be one good method of making sure that the environment is consistent between all the collaborators. And that's not, so if somebody is facing issues, at least you'll know it's not the environment that's the issue. The issue lies somewhere else. And so that's basically it. If you go to user guide for Lmod, if you just search Lmod and module save, it should bring you to this page. And these are the different commands that Lmod provides. You can describe a collection name. So if I wanted to see describe neuro modules, it will show what all modules are there in this collection. If I wanted to see what all collections I have, so I already had a test PGI first, and now I added neuro module, so I have 2 collections over here. And if I wanted to just disable it, I can just run module disable neuro modules, and if I do module reset, now let me, since I have disabled it, I should not be able to restore this neuro modules. Yeah, so there is no collection called neuromodules because I disabled it. It doesn't delete your collection. It's still there in your .lmod.d file. But now if you see, there is a tilde at the end. So what you can do is you can d neuromodules to and this is how you can enable your collection again. And now you see, once I have renamed it to proper neuro modules, I can again go ahead and use this collection. Are there any questions regarding this?
Let's see. So in the chat, Sarah Adkins asked about creating an account and getting the confirmation email, but when she's logging in, it's saying that she doesn't have one. So that's not directly related to this, but Sarah, I posted the email address there in the chat, but if you'll email that, that'll create a ticket for us, and we can follow up with you there. Most likely, it's going to be Mike Hanby is going to be the one that's going to need to go through and verify that your account did indeed get created and see what's going on there. So the ticketing system will be the best way to do that. If you can't get that sorted out, please remember we have office hours a few times a week. And if you go to go.uab.edu/remote work, I want to say that there's a listing of if you go to the bottom of the page, let's see, I'm trying to remember where our resources are. Oh yeah, at the bottom of the page under additional resources, there's research computing resources, and that has the office hours with the appropriate Zoom links and whatnot there. All right. All right. So then let's see. Melissa Walker is asking Robbie, I'm sure you said this, but the screen we are looking at, is this the HPC Desktop interactive app?
Uh,
Go ahead.
yeah, so basically no. So if you want to see the HPC desktop app, you can either just go through here and you'll see the HPC desktop. And basically what that looks like is, I don't think I have anything running. I'm asking for a lot of resources, but let's see. Since I haven't started too many jobs in the recent past, I'm hoping it will just start.
Yeah.
But basically, the screen that I was on was a command line interface or shell access, which you will see under clusters.
Yeah, and you can access a terminal like that from inside the HPC desktop. It
Yeah,
looks like it started up.
yeah. And so, yeah, once it starts up, you'll see this launch desktop in new tab button, which once you click on, you will come to this sort of page. It might not look exactly same because I have added a background, which I should not have. It might be just completely blue background after that. You can, like William mentioned, you can see the terminal that was up here directly from desktop as well. And this is the same, whatever I do over here, it's similar to if I was doing something over here. So I can check the modules over here. I can do the module restore over here. Like if you'll see over here, I don't have any module list. Module restore, neuro modules. Yeah, and so basically I can do the same thing from here as well.
That's cool. Yeah, thanks for showing that to us. Are there any other questions on this piece before we do a brief overview of the Anaconda or Python virtual environments? Or if there's any other questions not related to these things, we're happy to take those as well.
Yeah, we generally like to keep it pretty interactive. So even if you don't have questions related to this, feel free to just ask your questions and we'll try to answer.
Yeah, I've got the chat open, so I should be able to see it if anybody posts something in there.
All right.
All right. Yeah, it looks like you've also got the tabs open for the Python virtual environment and Anaconda documentation.
Yeah, I can talk about them. So uh, basically, if you have worked in Python, you will be familiar with all the libraries that you generally use with Python scripts. And there are a lot of different methods of saving those libraries because you need to have those libraries in your environment first before you can actually use them in your Python script. Uh, One simplest method is that you can just do a pip install if you are a sudo user of the environment. Like if you're trying to install the Python libraries on your system or on a virtual machine with for which you have a sudo access, you can just do a sudo pip install and the library name, and that's going to install the pip in your environment. Uh, Generally, this is not allowed in a shared resource because it's a shared resource. So there are so many users that we cannot provide sudo access to just one user because uh, the environment that they'll set, it won't be feasible or workable for other folks. So there are some more methods where you can have something just for yourself by using dash dash user with pip install. where it's just loading libraries for your environment. Generally, Python, or we would not recommend uh, using those methods because uh, because at one point, more often than not, you'll be working with uh, different on different projects, and all of those different projects can have uh, different library requirements. So one solution that Python provides us with is creating virtual environments. And with virtual environments, you can set up virtual environments just for one for each project. And that way you can keep track of what libraries are going in which project. Uh, one The reason why we didn't want the first install is also because suppose your first project's relies on one library which has a dependency on NumPy version 1.7. And your second project has a dependency on a library which has a dependency on NumPy 1.8. So each time you're trying to run your first project, it it's going to run fine because you just have 1.7 in your environment. Every time you try to run the second one, it's going to complain because it's looking for 1.8, but it's finding 1.7 of NumPy. So you can upgrade your NumPy version in the second project, but then when you come back to project one, it will again start complaining because now the NumPy version is 1.8, but you are looking for one, but that project is looking for 1.7. So version mismatch, that error is going to occur a lot. That's where the virtual environment uh, comes in. So Python has a native virtual environment system called, I think it's just virtual env. It has been some while since I used this. Yeah, just a virtual env. So if you load any of our Python modules, you should have this virtual env command in your environment available as well after that. And it's just a simple, you can create a test environment. You can, and once you have created an environment, actually, let me all right, virtual env and test env. So I'm creating a virtual environment called test env. That should take a little bit of, not a lot, but a little bit of time. All right, so now if I do an ls, you'll see that there would be a folder called test env created. That's the new environment that we have. It is sort of portable. You should be able to move it till the time the Python version remains the same in your environment. Yeah, it does not necessarily have to remain in home directory. You should be able to just move this directory anywhere you want. The way of activating this virtual environment is source test env bin activate. And as soon as you run this, you will see that in front of your prompt, there is a prefix. That's the name of the environment. And that's the best method of knowing that you are in a virtual environment right now. As soon as you see a prefix in front of your prompt, uh, you'll know which test in or which virtual environment you are in. And now if I run anything, any pip install, I don't know, pandas, I'm hoping that's small. As you can see that I was just installing pandas, but pandas had a lot of dependencies behind it, and it's installing those as well. But all these dependencies, it's going to store in this test env, and it's movable. And but there are some issues with it because you should be familiar with where your Python virtual environments are, or these directories are where you have created the virtual environments. and some other issues. And just because of these issues, there came a new sort of more mature environment handler called Anaconda. And it also has a lot of other use cases, not just Python packages, because apart from Python packages, it also installs R packages and some standalone softwares as well. I'm just going to cancel this. And the
Hey, Robbie. So I'm going to kind of sidetrack you a little bit, because in the chat, Melissa was asking that we don't have a package called Mother or Mothur, Mothur, as a module on Chiha. But I'm noticing that it's something that can be installed via Anaconda.
mm-hmm.
So do you think for the Anaconda piece, we could real quick just show how we would go about creating an environment and then installing that package?
Yeah, definitely. All right. So like I was mentioning that Python virtual environment is pretty good at what it's supposed to do, but it's not really mature. You need to have an idea of where your virtual environments are, and then you need to go in and just do source, this bin activate, and a bunch of other issues that the native virtual environment has. It's still very usable if you just want to use it for small projects and everything, but it's generally a good idea to go to Anaconda once you have become familiar with just the sense of virtual environments. So I'm going to reset because I always like to have clean environment before I start. All right, and then let's load Anaconda. And this is how Anaconda is not available to you by default in your environment, but you can use this Anaconda 3.20.20.02. That's the latest version of Anaconda available to get Anaconda in your environment. And
Ravi, if somebody wanted to see a list of the modules that we have available, what's the best way for them to see that?
So there is module avail command that's going to show all the available modules in your environment. But let's say if you are just trying to look for MATLAB, uh, it's just a good idea to just go ahead and search for that. And you'll see that it will find all the MATLAB packages in our modules, and it's going to show you that if in the first try, let's say I wanted to do it should find PGI2. But if you are trying to find something and you don't see it, the next method would be to just do a module avail, just so that you can make sure that that package is really not in the environment. And then if it's not there, then just send us an email and we should be able to install it, or at least let you know if it's an Anaconda package or something, then we can send you instructions on how you can set up your environment with that package. And I'm just going to quit this because we have a lot of modules in our environment. All right, so let's take a look. I already loaded Anaconda in my environment, so I have Anaconda 3. So if you just Google Chiha and Anaconda, this should be the first link that you should come to. It's our docs wiki site, and we have set up some instructions on how you can use Anaconda over here. All right. So let's start with creating a new environment for Anaconda. And you said MOTHUR. Okay.
Basil, just to clarify, when you're asking if the module command is a bash command or a slurm command, The module command is a command that you can run in Bash. It's not directly related to Slurm. It's part of how we manage the manage having lots of different potential environments on the cluster.
All right, so it's just trying to install some basic framework of an environment right now, and apart from that, it's not installing mother package right now. It's just the name that I have given to this particular environment. So you'll see once that's done. I mean, once that environment is done, creating it should be simple enough. We can go ahead and look how we can create Conda, just Conda mother install, and this seems to be a bioconda package. We should be able to just run this command once that environment is up.
Yeah, I was gonna try and pop that into the annotations, but it's not doing great. All right, let's see. I'm getting.
All right, so it has Conda has already created an environment. The name of the virtual environment is mother. It doesn't have that mother package inside it right now, but that's what we are going to do. Before we install that mother package, we need to activate that Conda environment first. And it already gives you a command. It's simple enough. It's just Conda activate and then the name of your virtual environment. If you have multiple virtual environments, just remember that you need to just change the last version over here. And it's similar to the Python virtual environment where it's going to add this, the name of the virtual environment to as a prefix to on your prompt. All right, so now I'm in this mother virtual environment. Now I need to all right. So yeah, it has mother, but it has a bunch of other dependencies as well that it would need to install to get mother into the environment. It's weird saying out mother a lot.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. So Travis, I'm seeing your comment in the chat about the you're creating the environment, but you're getting this error. I don't know why it's already trying to bring in the Bioconda channel, but it's misspelled as well. So it should be Bioconda, and for some reason it's spelling it as just Biconda, Biconda. So I don't know if there were any other commands that you ran in around that. But it looks like potentially there's a misspelling somewhere in one of the commands around this.
All right, so by the time while this is going on, while it's trying to install all the packages and the dependencies, we can take a look at some of the other options that you have with Anaconda. So it's simple enough. You can just do a Conda activate and the virtual environment name to actually activate the environment and do some stuff over there. You can also use search option to find out the packages that you are looking for. There is a small caveat to that, that it's only going to look for the packages and the channels that you have in your environment currently. Uh, this is a decent method of checking for packages, but I generally prefer, and I believe William would agree as well, that the best method is just Googling Conda and the name of the package. And that's generally the first link that you come up on of how to install it in Conda environment. And basically you come to this page and you can copy any of these commands and then just run it in the environment after activation. All right, and to deactivate the environment, once you have installed it and you are done with all the work over there, you can use source deactivate or conda deactivate, and you should get out of that virtual environment. Sharing an environment is a pretty big part of Conda, because whenever you write a Python script, you might not be the only user who is going to be using that Python script. You might be writing it for someone else, your PI or your collaborators, or just general public. You might just have written a script that might be useful for a lot of people, and then you might have just left it on GitHub and be like, okay, whoever wants to use can come and use it. They won't be able to use it till the time they don't know the environment for which that Python script was written. That means all the libraries and everything. So once you export this environment, the best method would be to just keep this file, this environment.yaml file, in your Git repos, or at least in the directory wherever you are creating the Python script. So if you're sharing the directory with another collaborator, they will have access to this environment.yaml file as well, so that on their system they can recreate this virtual environment using this command. That is basically conda env create-f, the name of the environment file, and then they can give a name to that virtual environment. Or if they don't give a name, I believe it takes the default name that's there in this environment file. And that's how you can collaborate, and you can make sure that the other person has the same environment in which the script is running. And lastly, if you created a or a virtual environment by mistake, and if you want to remove it, this is the method how you can remove that virtual environment. It's basically just conda remove the name of the virtual environment, and all basically means that all the packages inside this environment. I believe if you don't give all, you can specify individual packages, like just delete this SQLite package, not everything. All right, let's take a look at our. All right, it looks like it has installed everything. It's at the last stage of executing transaction. And it's done. All right, so is mother a Python package, or let me just try.
That I don't really know. I think it's supposed to be used in conjunction with R.
Okay, I see that there is an executable called mother over here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
it looks
so
like it got installed.
yeah, and now you should be able to just use, if you're planning on using this just this executable, or if you're planning to use it in R somehow, you should be able to use it while you have activated this environment.
Yep. Yeah. So one thing to note is that if you're using the RStudio that's on demand, it's not going to be able to see any of your Anaconda environments because it's inside of a Singularity container. But basically, there's a software wall between that RStudio and any Anaconda environments that you have, and they're not going to be able to see each other directly. That being said, if you want to use this package in conjunction with R, you could install a version of R that you like working with inside of this Anaconda environment as well. And you should be able to do it that way. But it looks like you're not generally running them R and mother together, but you're using R to visualize the results of mother.
Okay.
Because Melissa is saying it's a software program used through the bash shell, and that you generally install it and just run it directly.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Sarah Sims is asking about loading up rc.uab.edu, that she's just having some issues with that coming up, and she's tried using Chrome and Safari. Is there anything else that she can try, or is that something we need to troubleshoot? I asked if she's running the VPN, but she's not running the VPN. What else could be preventing? Is there like should it be HTTPS?
So we have a redirect for rc.uab.edu, so that should not cause any issues, but that might be one thing to try.
So Sarah, you could try typing in the full URL, https://rc.uab.edu. Could give that a try. I don't know. Other thoughts, Ravi?
Yeah, that would basically be it. Is it just in the loading state, or is it giving you, or is it just saying that there is no such location, web URL?
It's the computer is saying bad request when she types in the full URL.
That is interesting. Yeah, we might have to take a look at this. I can see this.
Yeah, I'm seeing a few tickets. Yeah, there's a few tickets of folks that can't log in. So it looks like there's something on our side, Sarah, that we need to investigate and kind of figure out what's going on. But thank you for submitting the ticket. That'll help us figure out what's going on.
All right. Are there any other questions regarding Anaconda or Python virtual environment? You should be able to find both these documentation on our docs. It's simple. It's simpler to just Google Chiha and Anaconda, or this would be the page where I was on over here, or just Google Chiha and Python virtual environment, and this is where you can have some information about creating Python virtual environments.
Yeah, and just another note, yeah, if we don't have something as a module on Chiha, but it's something that can be installed via Anaconda, we're generally going to recommend that folks do that, because that way you can have tighter control over which versions you're using, and it'll make it easier to create a reproducible environment that you can share within your lab or with your external collaborators, or even when you're publishing, you can publish that environment as well.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I think that about wraps it up for today. This session should show up on, or the recording should show up on YouTube within the next few minutes after we finish up. So you're welcome to go back and look at it again. And so that's that's that. And let us know if you have any requests for these type of trainings, anything that you think would be useful for yourself or folks in your lab. We're always looking for good ideas of things to give a try. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to stop the YouTube stream.